This has been one hell of an experience. Oh, look at that. Changing the garden. Red little seeds into the little bush. You can see inside. Enjoy the family. Yeah, guys, let's pay a visit. Picking up his pictures, random dude just come up. Yeah, we're getting this ticket to go back to Tokyo for the night in the hotel. We'll be editing all this because possible. You do quite turning with the kids on. We do that last Monday.
I'm with a cold sweat.
Hot sweat, man.
You said this were going over you.
600 quid, wasn't it?
Oh, how much? Hey, oh, did you hear that?
No.
He said 600. We're having that as a first time thing.
20 seconds.
Right, if I bid again, are you going to bid any more?
He's got that stonker face on his nose. 10, 9.
Well done.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
But then, do you not get? If you get a swipe, do you not? Does it not start to build up down?
Sorry, I had to do it.
You've eaten everything I've ever built on a slope, mate. I forgot everything.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome to this week's GKP Thursday Night Live. I made a little bit of a mistake. I actually put down on the Facebook group that we would be joined this evening by myself, Rick, Matt, and Crafty. And Rick's off, innit? I forgot. It wasn't until somebody put in a little comment there to say, Rick's not here. This good of you to be turning around and saying Rick's here, but he's not actually here this week. He's actually away on holiday. I don't know if he's away or whether he's just out spending time with family, but have a good mate wherever you're up to. So yeah, there will be no Rick this evening. And Matt, as usual, is running behind, I'm guessing. But I did speak with him earlier today to see if he'd be joining us, and he is, but he's been working a little further afield today, so he might be running a little bit behind. So bear with us, guys, while we get all the panel together, -1, and we will get into this evening's entertainment, so to speak. I believe Rick's in Benidorm. Rick's in Spain. There we go. He's in Benidorm. So he is away. Oh, have a good one, mate. Hope it's good weather for you. As I posted in my Facebook group, it was a shame that summer was Wednesday this year. It's been lovely up till today. It's been quite nice, but the best day that we had was Wednesday at 23 degrees. I thought it were about 15, 16 degrees, but I'm told it was about 23 degrees in Huddersfield. So I am informed, which is not too bad, is it, really, for spring, early spring? Which brings me to a little thank you. And a thank you to all those that watched and are still watching. Really happy to see that the first video that I've put out from home in quite a good while, and to be fair, probably been a bit too long, is doing quite well. It's had a fair few views. I'm not saying major stupid amounts of views, but I'm saying question, who is having trouble with flukes? You might have just blown me cover on my next video, Seska. Yeah, I'm having trouble with flukes right now, which is why Lee referred to me up there as, my fellow PP buddy, as we were talking yesterday evening, as he was PP in his pond, which prompted me to get my finger out my backside and think, I've been in garden, got everything done, tidied and sorted out, and I should really make sure that I address the situation while we got good temperatures, by which I mean, at present, we were at 15.5 degrees, and today we've dropped down to about 13.5 degrees, but still warm enough to be able to make sure I can get a treatment in and get them nailed on, which video to follow soon, guys. And it's not a case of teaching everybody to suck eggs. It's just a little bit of information, bits and bats out there that some people might not know. Those out there that probably already know, but for anybody that might find it interesting, there will be a video coming up in the very near future of me and what I do and how I go about treating my pond. So yeah, there's definitely more of the case of coming out of spring and into summer. And as most people at pond owners know, you end up with a parasite issue and parasite problems. And by problems and issues, I mean the likelihood is they went into winter with the odd one or two that weren't really bothering the fish all that much due to the temperatures cooling. Unless you're in a heated pond, then you would have been at a treat regardless anyway. But if you're in an unheated pond like me, you would probably find that you've got... He's in Benidorm. I don't know. Yeah, I'll stick that one up just so everybody knows. Rick's in Benidorm. Lucky bugger. Like I have with an unheated pond, you may find now, as the waters start to warm up a little bit, that you might have an issue with the odd fish flashing and skimming across the side of the pond or off of anything in the pond to relieve themselves from an irritation. And the irritation being from parasites that were already there, more than likely, before you went into the cooler months and the cooler seasons, when the parasites become a little bit more dormant and the irritation is less frustrating for the fish. So as the water starts to warm up a little bit, then you end up with the good evening, mate. And then you end up with all the problems that come with that. And that being, as the fish start to come out of torpor and into their beginning of their season, warmer waters, and their immune system picking up a little bit and basically starting to get on the feed a little bit more, obviously the water's temperatures warm up and the parasites become more active. And it's at this time then, I think my February fluke issue was down to being heated in October. Flukes were there, but not bothered them. There you go. And then obviously, once you've got the warmth back in the water, the parasites become more active again, and that starts to irritate the fish. And then you start to notice. But the thing is, the fish's immune system in a cooler pond is not as switched on as what it would be as the water's warm through in spring into summer. So it's a good idea, if your temperature's warm enough, to be able to knock back those parasites. If you can't eradicate them in full, at least have a damn good go. That way then they can come out of spring into summer and be thriving rather than struggling with parasites that are keeping them back. As the water temperatures rise, the parasites become more active, start to breed more, the numbers go tenfold. Before you know it, you've got flukes going like crazy, and you start with issues where you end up with damage to your fish, or you end up with fish that might be getting sores on them from rubbing themselves up against the surface or the side or the bottom drain, whatever you might have. But it's always a good idea this time of year, guys, to make sure you do your due diligence and check your fish and make sure you keep a good eye on them. And with me being in the position where I've been able to, and watching the fish and doing the bits and bats over the weekend, I've been able to keep an eye on them and monitor them to notice that the odd one every now and again were flashing. And when I looked closer and studied them a little bit, my Benny Ginger, right down the centre of its middle of its body, it had knocked a scale. And I thought, I've never ever seen you with a scale off, other than a couple of years ago when it did knock one out. When I used to have the lily pots in the pond, which have now gone. So I thought, well, you must have been having a little bit of a flash every now and again to knock another scale, because there's only the bottom drain in there, and the bottom drain that's in there isn't and doesn't have any sharp areas on it. So with further investigation, I pulled them out and I'd look, did a few scrapes, and to find that I did have a few fish with flukes on them. And we're not talking crazy numbers. And this is the reason why I'm addressing it and bringing it up, and hopefully, fingers crossed, when people join in and come on later on, they'll have their input as well and say what they think is a good idea and good practice. But I think whenever the numbers are low, it's better to hit them and hit them hard. But then again, obviously, if you're only finding one or, the odd one when you've scraped 4 or 5 fish, is it really worth the treatment? No, it's not. But if you're finding, when you do a scrape and you find 2 or 3 on one slide off of one fish and one off of another slide, one on another slide from another fish, and then so on. So you're getting 4 slides with parasite issues over 4 fish. That gives you a good indication that numbers aren't crazy, but they're there, and they're persistently going to get worse and worse and worse when left as the temperatures rise. So going into it and getting into it and giving them a good treatment before the numbers come too much, then, if your waters are cooler, you might not eradicate them all, but you'll certainly knock the numbers back, which will slow down their breeding cycle, egg layers or live layers, and knock them back enough to make a difference so that the fish aren't too badly affected by late spring into summer. So that's what I've been doing today. As Lee refers there, I think my PP buddy and him there been doing exactly the same thing, and thinks his flukes have come through from back in the last year. I'm pretty sure that mine have. I introduced a fish last year, 1 or 2 towards back end of summer and early stages of autumn prior to going into winter. And then pretty much after that, temperatures dropped pretty low, pretty quick, as it always tends to do around this area. So I think the likelihood is they introduced the parasites, and they probably just weren't all that much of a big deal right back then, because the waters were colder and less irritable to the fish while they were in there. And now, as it's starting to warm up again, we're getting to that stage where they are becoming a bit more of an irritant. And I noticed it more. Tuesday, Wednesday, we had good warm weather, and the water temperatures went from I think we're 9.5 at the weekend up to 10, 11.5, 12.5. By Wednesday, we were hitting 15.5. And then that's when it was more noticeable, and I started seeing it, which is just after I'd done all the weekend's worth of jet washing and cleaning all the pond, cleaning all the fence. And while I touch on that, massive thanks to everybody that did watch, everybody that did tune in, and everybody that gives a thumbs up and put some comments in. It was really great to see that, even though I have been a little bit inactive, that I still got some good views and still got some good interaction. So thanks very much, guys. Anyway, thought you were going to dye your hair, guys. Actually, it's quite funny you should say that. Me and my wife she coloured her hair today, and I could have got a nice chocolate brown, but nah. Well, end of the day, you are what you are. And to be fair, my hair grows relatively quick, and I'd spend more time dyeing it, and then, that's like 3 weeks growth since having it done to 0 at back and side. So in 3 weeks, my hair grows pretty quick. I'd become slightly to do my roots when I look around more pretty. So I am where I am. I am who I am, and it is as it is. It'll stay. Can't be asked. Has anybody got any topics or conversations that they would like to have a talk about? I know we did have. Cheers, guys. Your hair grows quick. I'm sorry, Lee. Yeah, there's some of us that don't grow as quickly anymore, or there are others of us that do, but end up unfortunately getting grey instead. I mean, I'm not saying there's out wrong with people that are bald. Before everybody thinks so. But I'd much rather be going grey than going bald. It's the lesser of the two evils, I would imagine. Nothing beats waking up in the garden after a... Nothing beats waking up in the garden after a rainy winter, or walking in the garden, or waking up the garden, whichever that means, mate. Yeah, I've got to admit, when I was out there last weekend, I thought, when you get all that green mossy covering to everything, and obviously having a dog comes backwards and forwards and traipses up and down the stairs and then through the conservatory, he always brings all the muck and the mud from the garden and makes the flags always look filthy. So I thought I'd get into jet washing all the flags off. But I thought, wow, the stones around the pond, they look like they're gone a bit green again. And I know the filter system that I've got isn't the best, but I do know for one thing that if I put clay in there, it'll pull the clay out in about 2.5, 3 hours. So I thought, well, if I jet wash all them off and try to divert most of it away from the pond and jet wash all the stones off away, washing the muck away from the pond as opposed to into it, I should be able to keep it down to a minimum and get it pretty clean without filling the pond with too much green tinge. But a bit went in, and then I did a filter clean and left that to just to remove that. But when I looked around and I flicked up the fence in little areas, once I noticed how much difference that one couple of boards on the fence panel looked like, I thought, Jesus Christ, man, the fence looks proper bad until you start, and then you go around and you start thinking, wow, the shed looks green, the decking in front of the shed looks green, the fence looks green, the flags look filthy. Before I knew it, I'd gone round 3/4 of garden doing the whole job lot. It could be the flicking to Gazza's fine bits off the stones. Nah, it's Yorkshire stone, mate. Yorkshire stone never did anybody any harm. I don't think for a minute it would be. They weren't. Well, no. To be fair, they weren't flashing at the weekend. I did that on the Saturday, and on the Sunday there was fine. On the Monday there was fine. So I don't think so, mate. I think it's just as the temperatures warmed up, the water warmed up, parasites become a bit more active. Oh, it could be. Who knows? But one of those things. When I've done scrapes, I found them. So it indicates more likely that it'll be parasites that's been the irritation to them than a bit of green algae going in. I mean, let's face it, pond's full of algae, and there's algae that's all the way around the outside of the parameter of the pond. I would very much doubt it. But I did jet wash all of the top area, all the way around the pond, which that's probably where the majority of the green came from. That went in the water, which was off the surrounding top 2 inches of the pond's liner. So I didn't want to go too close and do any damage, pop a liner out like that. So we were trying to make sure that we got it to be as clean as we could without making too much mess and too much crap. But I did also notice I got a lot of blanket weed as well. And the beginning stages of, when your algae on the side of your pond's like 4 or 5 mil. Well, this was like 10 to 15 mil. And I thought, if you have a look on your airlines, that's normally where you see your blanket weed gather the most. So I had a look and pulled an air stone out, and sure enough, there was a clump on it. I thought one was another piece of a clump, but it was a little piece of moss that had blasted off the stonework, which had ended up working its way into the pond. But when you see the early stages of it, the best thing to do is to hit it with a treatment and get rid of it. I did see Andy's video from Koi Pond Lifestyle as he's pulling out his air stones out of his pond with blanket weed that must have been 2 or 3 foot in length. I just can't understand why anybody waits. Andy, no disrespect, mate, but I can't understand why anybody waits till it gets that long before you start thinking about doing a treatment. Hit it when it's short and it's small and knock it back straight away rather than wait until it gets to that length, because once it does break down and break off, then it just clogs all your filter system up, which, as Andy's has said before in past, that does happen. And it gets all into his Cockney Koi filter 4-bay, multi-bay thing, and ends up clogging all his, his brushes up and everything else, which is an absolute nightmare. Right then, let's have a quick look at what's... And then Manic Miner says, I don't think it ever went. I don't think he did, mate. To be fair, I think he got it knocked back a little bit, but I don't think it's gone through the winter months and it's progressively got worse for him. I think you might be right. And I know once it gets like less than 10 degrees, most of the treatments are a bit unsuccessful and don't tend to work all that well. So that might be as a reason as to why it got as bad. But I think, and I don't know, what's your opinions in the comments? Do you think if you start pulling it out and separating it and breaking it out and pulling it out and raking it off the sides, that you release the spores, allowing that to spread more? I don't know exactly how it spreads itself or whether it works like that, but it could be the case. It would make me wonder if the more you spread it about, the more you start pulling it out, loosening it up, the more you might spread it around your pond. And trying to get rid of it would be better with treatment than removing it. But I guess you got to pull the bulk out to get a lesser amount in there to be able to make a treatment go and work properly. But yeah, let's see. Right, let's see if I've missed anything out throughout the comments until the likes of the rest of the guys get here, or whether or not I'll be doing this one on my own this evening. Who knows? Right then, we've got Mr. Tate. Oh, Mr. Tate there. It says, evening all. Hope you're well, Alan. Nothing beats waking up in the garden after the rainy winter. We've got a good evening from Seska. Oh, no, that's saying hello to... could be worse. I was topping up a few inches and forgot about it. Come back 6 inches later. Had to drain 4 inches off and took 2 inches too much out. All right, so you've literally gone 6 inches too much to take out 4 inches to end up taking 6 inches back out again, having to originally top it back up again. There we go. Gaz, is that the biggest money tree in England? It might very well be. And let's see if we can give you a scale up to how big it... All right, crap. There we go. I mean, yeah, it's pretty big. It's pretty big. And believe it or not, that's not the original. And by which, this is going to take some explaining. My wife had purchased it a fair few years ago. And she would purchased it as a small little plant that we managed to get to about so big. And all of a sudden, I don't know if we overwatered it, it started to die off. And as it were all dying off, one of the leaves, when we were removing all the dead leaves, we cracked a leaf, just put a little split in it. And from that little split grew a tiny little rooted system with 2 more little leaves growing out of it. So jokingly, I said, let's see if we can get that out and separate it out of the leaf. And I did, and I managed to get it out. And I put it in a tiniest, and I'm talking, you know, a little pot that was sort of like that sort of size type thing, and put it in and left it to see if it grew. And it grew, and it started. Then it turned 2 leaves, turned into 4, turned into 6, and off it went. So I potted it in a bigger pot, and that now is the result of that. And it's been repotted from a small little pot of about so big to a pot of about so big, and then to a pot of about this big. And now it's in, I think it's a 21-inch diameter pot, which is about nearly 21 inches in depth by width, and it's growing like crazy. But I thought I'd killed it. I literally did think I'd killed it. But when I repotted it, it completely drooped. It went proper sorry for itself. So I did a bit of a Google, and it said basically let it go bone dry, leave it to dry right out, because I think I may have overwatered it. And the beauty of them is you only water every blue moon. It sits in here until that soil goes completely dry, and the more shoots and more little offcuts that you pop in there, the more overpopulated and crowded the pot is, the more they enjoy it, the more they grow. I mean, that might be the biggest. Let's see if we can show you this one. That might be the biggest money tree or jade plant, whichever you want to call it. But I think that one there is pretty much the biggest Christmas cactus that I've ever seen as well. I mean, look at the size of the pots that they're on. They're absolutely huge. But yeah, the Christmas cactus is absolutely huge too. And we've bought both of them and got both of them the same. And I've given people tons and tons of offcuts and trimmings. And well, my wife always says, "You've taken another cutting off of that money plant, haven't you? And put it somewhere else again." And I do. I just stick them in pots all over the place. So we've got loads of little ones. Anyway, you got that, didn't you? How old do you think that is now from when it died off and we repotted it? Probably about 7 or 8 years old.
It was given to me as a gift from a child at work.
Yeah, the original one was one.
I didn't buy it.
Yeah, no, but that one died off, didn't it? Then it broke down into a little leaf, and we took that little offcut out of the leaf, didn't we, when it died off?
About 15-year-old.
Well, a lot longer than what I thought. About 15-year-old to get to that size. But yeah, absolutely massive. Send me some pics, mate. What are we on about here? Anyway, that's me talking about Japanese money plants or jade plants, whichever you want to call it. Let's see if I've missed out. Gaz, what?
It don't give us money.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, it's a myth. Yeah. They're supposed to be a symbol of prosperity for the Japanese, and they call them the money plant. But I'm going to tell you that that ain't the fucking case at all. Gaz, do you know if a fish damages their fins, do they grow back, mate? Yes, they will do, but it's a slow process in an unheated pond. Depending, and this means depending. If it's lost the lead ray, the section of that lead ray will never grow back. So you might end up with a misshapen section, and by which I mean, let's see if we can do a little bit of a kind of a rough drawing for you, so we can show the kind of what I'm talking about. So if you've got the fish's peck looking that sort of shape, this bit being body side there. You've got the front lead ray, which will draw on in a slightly thicker line than the rest. And then you have all the small rays that run through and the vein structure that runs through it. That's not the very best of drawings, I know. But if you've lost any of this main front ray section, or it's snapped, damaged, or broken off, that will never grow back, mate, because it's cartilage. And cartilage don't grow back. But if it's a section of this bit around here, then you'll find that will grow back, but the process is slower in a unheated pond. If it's in a heated pond, you should end up with a relatively quick recovery and regrowth, but it's not always the case, mate. Depends. I've had one that had a little bit of carpox on, and as it had the carpox on the outer edge of the thing, as the carpox and the weather. Is that walnut? Yeah. I'm not the best at drawing. I really aren't. Ashley, he's got one of my drawings in his van, my kitchen design. But yeah, if when the carpox died back somewhat, then that carpox took a section of the pecat with it as well, but it was nowhere near the lead ray section, and that grew back, but it took about 8 months in my unheated pond, mate. So it's a longer process. Splits in warm environments, like I've had little, fish go fishing, some of the tamasabas and koi when I've grown them in the tropical fish tank, and they've been in there at like 24 to 26 degrees. Splits in the pecs tend to heal relatively quickly as long as they don't go right down to the knuckle area. They'll grow and heal up pretty well and pretty fast, a matter of weeks, and they're back together. In a cold pond, you might be talking months. If it's not gone too far, sometimes if they've gone too far, what I've heard and seen people do is they put a little stitcher in it and just nip it together so when the fish is using its pecs to give it all this type of direction for steering and turning itself, each time it does this, that puts strain and stress on the tear, and it ends up ripping it more and more and more. Sometimes it ends up right down towards the knuckle, so to speak, the body section. And then you end up with a slower, longer healing process. And I have done this one myself, there are other ways that you can assist and help that. Sedate the fish, lay it out on a bit of material, a damp towel, so that you've got the actual fish laid down, so that you can work on it whilst the fish is under. And if you lay the peck across your finger, and I use a little bit of super glue and add a line on one side, and then touch the peck two faces together, the super glue will bond with it, because obviously there's moisture to the peck still, even though you dry it off, there's still a bit of moisture to them, and it bonds pretty much instant, and you can tack it back in place all the way down along. Give it a couple of minutes, and once you've given it a couple of minutes, return the fish back to the pond. Water, I don't know if you know, water, saliva activates super glue. So does the chemical spray that you use, but don't use that on your fish. But water will 100% activate super glue and cure it 100%. It normally lasts for about a week, 2 weeks. And that's normally long enough for that to knit back together, for it to be strong enough for the fish then to be getting back to normal and recover the healing process faster. So, all that helps, mate. But yeah, it does, it's just slower in a cooler pond, much faster in a heated pond. And yeah, rips and tears, missing sections. Lead rays never grow back, unfortunately. You see them sometimes on a fish, as the fish might have actually been born with a short lead ray, and it's not so noticeable when it's a small fingerling, toe size, what have you. But as the fish gets into like 2 years, 3 years, it becomes more noticeable to the point where you can only see the lead ray go to 3/4 of the actual pectoral and then stops. That's one of two things: birth defect from birth, or damaged at younger age and broken off and damaged so that it heals up and never grows back. So there you go. That's a little bit of a answer to your question, mate. Long-winded, and not only that, an absolutely fucking brilliant picture of a pectoral. Let's see what else there is. If I missed anybody else's comments. Right then, what we got here? Joe, me old cocker. Debt for Mag came out of a day, so must be a new one due to drop soon. There's a good. There you go. So now Leeds just told everybody the next one is out on its way to everybody and winging its way to you pretty soon. We've got an evening all there from Richard. Nice one. Thanks for joining us, mate. Thanks, Mr. Oliver. Yes, I'm closing new subs on the 22nd. Then we'll ship ASAP for the royal fail. Thought I'd misread that then for a second. Send me some nice pics, mate. Ooh, of what, where, when? Who do you want some nice pics first? I'm taking mine to Turkey in July, so I have plenty to read. Obviously, I'll read them first. Pics of him reading your magazine in Turkey. There's an advertisement for you. All around the world with it. Evening all. My missus does that with all the house plants. To be fair, we've got a few plants through the front of the house. They don't get as much light, but anything we put in here seems to grow like crazy. And I think that's because of the heat, temperature, continuous Yorkshire sunlight that we get 4 days a year. That really helps them grow so well. But yeah, it's my. I was absolutely gutted when it all wilted and dropped. I was so pissed off and upset. One that had ruined our lasses plant, and two that I thought I'd killed it off. But I really like the look of it. I'm actually thinking about taking a couple of cuttings off it. I've been watching a few little videos where people are making bonsai out of them, because although the trunks look like, as you can see there, just over my shoulder, they look like a wooden structure to them. They're not. They're quite pliable and manipulative, so able to manipulate easily by using twist wire and what have you, and shaping them into sort of different type ones and making cloud patterns with them. By the more you prune them, when you prune back a branch, that throws out another branch instantly from it, and then again and again and again. So the more that you break a bit off, the more that spurts on new growth. Obviously, snap off one becomes two become four, so on and so on and so on. And that's how it works. Vince says there, I've used super glue in the past. There you go. I wondered if super glue would work like it in human. Exactly. That's what made me try it. Everybody pretty much knows. I think super glue was originally designed for that during the First World War and the Second World War, for basically sticking people together and trying to make a quick fix and get them out to medics so that they could save their lives. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're about. It's what they use on you if you cut your head open or anything like that, because it's difficult to stitch, or shave a patch so that they can stitch your head up. But using super glue and bond it back together, and it works. It stings a bit. I've sliced my finger with them a few times with blades and stuff, and put super glue in it. But I made the stupid mistake of using the activator just to set it, and that wasn't a good idea, because the chemical reaction between the two gets super hot, and it felt like it were on fire, it was burning. That hurt more than the cut. But yeah, there we go. Vince says I've used super glue in the past, and it does work. There we go. That's what super glue came from. Gluing humans back together, 100%, mate. It certainly did. And then we've got Andy Lambert that says, good evening all. Thank you. Look at that dog, that's mint. Says, good evening all. Hope you're all well. We did get one comment. And as it looks as if I'm doing this and rocking it on my own this evening, guess that must be the case. We'll have a talk about this little topic and we'll see where we go and what we can do with this one. Where does it go? Wrong one. Down one. There we go. Making Rick call him from holiday. Now that's the one where I was on about. But Rob Calloway reminded me that Rick was away on holiday. And he just turned around and said he's got a question, a topic for the Thursday night. How important are water changes? All fish keepers have it drilled into them from day one that water changes are critical for the fish to thrive. I'm sure I recall Rick talking about it, not changing water on last year's food trial ponds, he did, mate, and he has mentioned this here before as well, to get rid of an extra variable and all those fish thrived. So I've also heard keepers who have had terrible incoming water say that keeping changes to a minimum and their fish still do well. So is it really the be all and end all? In my opinion, I would consider a water change rather than just literally changing water for the sake of changing it to replenish and doing so much, so many months or so many days or so many weeks, or how often you want to do it as a water change. I would say for me, a water change is enough when it comes to cleaning your filter systems or topping up your system. As most people tend to forget, if you get your pond through the summer months, and in those summer months you've got good, relatively hot weather, we get evaporation. And obviously over a few weeks of the summer months, you might notice that you've lost 2 to 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches, whatever, and you go to top up. Now, most people just go, yeah, well, I just topped my pond up because I've lost a bit due to evaporation. But don't consider that a water change. But it is. You're adding new water and you're changing the elements by adding a fresh supply. So that in itself is one, topping back up your system if you needed to. 2, cleaning your filter system, dropping out whatever you might do. If let's say you're boiling up your Nexus and dropping out 800 litres out your Nexus, 320, whatever it is, however much they have in them. For me, I drop 3 times my barrel filter system, and in doing so, I drop out 900 litres. So every week, my weekly water cleans, and throughout the summer months, I do probably about a 20% water change. But it's not necessarily me doing a water change. I'm just replenishing the water that I've took out by cleaning my system with that older water that's in the pond. There might be those that turn around and say, is that a good idea? Well, yeah or no. When you're introducing chlorine, which you need to make sure that you're either dechlorinating beforehand, rather than you put your dechlorinator in the water before you start adding your water. That way, then it's dechlorinating the new supply that you're putting in, running it through dechlorinating systems, bone charcoal filter systems, etc., and then topping your system back up. But is it necessary to change water just because of it? Sometimes it is if you've had treatments in. For example, I've treated mine, and when I've come to the end of this treatment, the PP ready, I want to get that out, give the filters a good clean, give the filter system, again, 1,000 litres dropped out, 900 litres to be exact, 900 litres dropped out again, and then topping the system back up and filling the pond back up, giving it a 20% water change, which will reduce the amount of treatments that are in there. So other than that, mate, I would say completely, Rob, to be honest, I would say if you've got good water and you've got no issues, then if it ain't broke, why fix it? Maintain what you've got. Maintain the water that you've got. Add additives and top up your pH, your KH, make sure you keep those on top, and boost your filtration system by adding PSB, something like that. Other than that, maintain what you've got and keep water changes to a minimum. But obviously, evaporation is evaporation and has to be topped back up. Filtrations, cleaning cycle systems is something that has to be topped back up. So it's impossible to not do one at all. But yeah, I still think it's best to change as little as possible unless you've got issues. Martin says, good evening, Gaz, and the chat. Good evening, Martin. Thanks for joining us, mate. You need to use, oh my God, that stuff is the only active super glue safe for fish. Do you? I can tell you, I didn't, and had no effect or harm on my fish. So I used Mitabond, and it worked perfectly fine. But yeah, it's to be safe. That's the whatever it is, free one for the super glue, which makes it fish friendly. I would think that would normally be the case, mate, for something where you was making decorative plants for like tropicals or fish tanks, where you're bonding a lot of plants to an actual structure to keep that plant in place, rather than tie wrapping and unwinding twine around it that's visible and you can see. That's staying in your tank and in your water column continuously long term. Now, you'll find most times, 9 times out of 10, that when you use something like super glue on a fish's pectoral, it comes off within a week or two, and you normally see it floating around on surface, and your skimmer will pull it out, and it'll be pulled out of your filter system and gone to waste. It's not something that super glue, when it's dry and comes off, if you pull it off, it's a floatable, it floats and normally goes out through your waste system. And that's what I've seen in past. When you're pouring it inside your water column and it's weighted down and it's staying in there, then I would say that the type that you're talking about, which I can't even pronounce that word, I'm not even going to canocriolate, something like that, whatever it is. But I would say that's because of that breaking down and getting into your water column, and it's toxic and poisonous to your fish, because it's there long term throughout the whole time that you've got that ornamental piece in. But rather safe than sorry. If you want to be safe than sorry. But there you go. Even Vince used it, the same one too. Mitabond works. I've had it on me, used it on me, never did any harm to me. And it were on the fish that I used it on for about 2 weeks and then came off. And I seen it on floating on surface. Scooped it out. But there you go. Better safe than sorry though, mate. Agreed. Right then. Now then. Michael says, now the weather is changing, we're going to start the koi appreciation nights. Oh, there you go. See, mate, you've literally stole my thunder. And that was going to be one of the things that I was going to mention tonight. And I was going to actually start doing it. And believe it or not, we could actually do one from the last couple of weeks, because I've now started doing what I've posted in the Facebook group. And I've been putting in koi of the week. And man, have some people been posting some nice fish. I was half tempted the other week to bring some up while we had them on and just getting, your opinions of them. But this year, I want to do a little bit of a spin, and I want to do a little bit of something different. And I tried it last year, and I'm hoping that you guys are going to be prepared and happy to participate with it. And that is to do pond appreciation too. So not only would I like, me and the panel, if there ever is going to be a panel this evening, would like you to start sending in fact, answers in the comments, guys. Which fish would you like to do next week? If you think it's too early or too soon yet, it's not a problem. If you think that you've got a fish and you're happy and you're already heated and you're ready, I think, I took fish out not yesterday or today, and I've checked mine and managed to net them up. But I will say, if your temperatures are cold and you've got fish in there, you don't want to risk it, because you don't want to have a fish getting any damages. That's going to take a long time to heal up. Then feel free to wait till such time that you are happy. But I think we could definitely now get this koi appreciation hour. But within koi appreciation, I'm going to say koi and pond appreciation. And we're going to do what I would like to do, because I think it's lovely that people, and everybody's got a different pond. And as everybody always says, there's no two ponds alike. There isn't. And that quite literally is. You might say a lot of them are generic looking fish tanks, but they're not the same. Everybody's got their own little different spin on them. There's a lot of in-ground ponds that look totally different. And everybody has their own style, their own unique pond when they build it, which works and they're happy with. So I think we should start it again, Michael. I do believe we should. We should get it going again and get it out there and get the fish koi appreciation going in again. And you never know. We might even start doing a little bit of a giveaway for anybody that puts in an absolute belter that we all agree on the evening is the banger of the week, whatever you want to class it as, the number one fish, the best one, whatever. We might start doing a little bit of something and get a little bit of something back for all the people that do. So yes, mate, 100%. We've got first suggestion in there. Is everybody in agreement with Goshki? Go with a Goshki for the first koi appreciation. And obviously pond appreciation. If you guys, and when I say pond appreciation, you can send in a picture and a video. Picture of your pond, that'd be good. A video would be even better. If you get a video of your pond showing us your filtration system and the breakdown of it all, and we can then hopefully put that up and get it uploaded and get it on the system so that we can play it through with the sound, I think that would be. But I would like to say, excuse me, I would like to say that I definitely want to make sure that this is done before such time as Thursday night, because if I'm getting them on Thursday night on the night, it's impossible for me to be able to show a pond with the volume in the background because I can't upload it to StreamYard while I'm actively on it. So I need to be able to upload that beforehand. So maybe with the koi fish, not a problem. We can show them on the night if that's how you want to do it. It's better for me if they come in beforehand, but if it doesn't on the night, it's not a problem. But we'll have a cut-off time or a cut-off point, let's say maybe 9 o'clock, no more entries from that point in. But if we do it with the ponds and the videos for the ponds or whatever, that way then we can do them as a cut-off on Wednesday evening. It gives me a chance to be able to upload them and get them sorted out. Bearing in mind, there's, whether or not I've got time on a Thursday night to actually get that done beforehand. We'll see. But yes, I do believe we should. And yeah, me, myself, and I, mate. It's not like it's not the first time, but I don't believe I'm going to be all night. We got Matthew Howe that said he was going to come on and he was going to join us, but I know he did say he were working, but who knows? It is what it is. I can handle my own, so we're all good. And if I get bored and fed up, we'll just make a shorter version this week rather than being anything different. Unless anybody else would like to come on and join us. If you do, stick a yes, I'll come on and join in the comments, and I'll stick a link out there for anybody to come on and have a natter. They all basically, that one, just all different brand names. There you go. I didn't know that, but I did know that there was a difference between some and others that aren't. But yeah, there we go. Gaz gets one of my fish most days. Snow. I do actually, mate. Yeah, I do actually. Got to admit though, the snow saggy, mate, does look banging. That's getting some nice blood in it, and yeah, tis a nice fish, mate. That's one fish I really would like myself too. After the heron ate it a couple of years ago now. But yeah, Rick from New Forest Koi, he sent me one out, and it was mint. It was absolutely spotless, and I really did like that fish. And I'll be fucking honest. It really did piss me off when that fecking heron took a lot of the fish that I liked in the pond. Although there were small ones and stuff that they were growing on, I really did enjoy them and did like looking at them. It was always the best ones that get eaten. And the one thing that peed me off the most with the snow asagi that I had, he didn't fucking eat it. It picked it up, carried it onto the forest park area, stabbed the shit out of it, killed it, and left it. And I think it was probably because it was too big for it to eat. But as Vince said there, it was fucking banging. It was, mate. That was a banging. Ginrin on that was stunning. The vibrancy of it, the Benny to the underside, laterally down. The only thing, it just started getting the Benny coming up in the dorsal. And then shit happened, as they say. Here we go. If you're going to be handling your own, if you're going to be handling your own, I'm off. I didn't quite mean it like Vince says, I would, bruv, but finishing the last of the installation and pipe work in Long Block. Oh, mate, I was going to watch you the other day, yesterday. I was going to watch it while I were in Filter House, tinkering away. And I was thinking, oh, Vince has put a new bit out. I was going to, and I will catch up, mate. I will drop you a message. Thanks very much for watching the other day as well, mate. Appreciate it. But yeah, Long Block is having a complete overhaul, mate, isn't it? You're making a massive, great big moving bed to another shower to a moving bed to a return. Then I'm guessing it's all going to be linked that way around, giving you some more biological filtration. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, got any topics? But I personally think, yes, as we were talking about the last one there, I personally think that it was, again, my daughter sending messages left, right, and centre. I do personally think that minimising water changes as much as you possibly can, the best way to go about it, in my opinion. Aragoki Kai says, Gaz, at work, when you start a new pond, do you just push past new pond syndrome with salt as the nitrite spike? Yes, mate, pretty much. And feeding with PSP, and regularly topping up and dosing, mate, and reducing, obviously, slowly introducing feed and not hitting it too hard, mate. Yeah, pretty much as that is. But again, though, filtration systems aren't always fresh brand spankers. They're matured or seeded and stuff like that. Well, like, for example, if we had a pond and a system off of one, we'd take the filtration media out of that one, give it a good clean off, give it a good rinse off, and then pop it back into another system. So it's still seeded to over cascade into new ones. So into new media underneath, so that it matures up quicker and faster. But yeah, pretty much, mate. Vin says 100%. So that is what he's doing in Long Block. And we've got it's always the favourite from Argaria says, it's always the favourite fish, which cops it. Right, mate. It is. It's always the one. It's always the one. I really liked my son's, what do you call it? What was it? Matsukawabaki. Ginrin Matsukawabaki that he had. And when I had the problem with the Yamabuke, which two of the fish that I liked in the pond more than anything, that and the Beniginga have been pretty much my favourite fish from when I've got them up to pressed. And the Yamabuke slammed into the side of the Matsukawabaki and knackered and damaged its swim bladder, and that fish was never the same. It's still alive, it still exists, but it's one of those fish that's always sitting up bottom. It's round at my dad's in his pond, and one that I moved on, so to speak. But yeah. But that's the one. My daughter's pinging the hell out of the family group chat tonight. It's coming up. My God. So, Bethan, what are you doing, man? Anyway, right. Did I miss anything else? Any other topics? Any other conversations? Is there anything else? Sorry, just read that comment and it made me laugh. Not in Yorkshire, guys. It's not a symbol of prosperity together. Yeah, 100%, mate. It is. That definitely is not, mate. That is for sure. And we got there. Missed that one. Sorry, mate. Marco, evening, everyone. I'm on the fish. Hope you're well, mate. Hope you're good. My money plant ain't that big. Every time I buy a koi, a leaf falls off. Well, as you can see, mate, a lot of my fish have been privileged enough, and I will say this, and it is that a good few of them. I haven't bought them all, but a good few of them have been given. So, and I've been gifted, or I've been, purchased by subscribers when people donated money when I lost all those fish. So that's not come off of my money plant. Right then, what we got? Do you believe in having koi in pairs, Gaz? Mate, do you know, to be fair, I think I kind of do. Because when I think about it, I've got two, maybe not so much pairs, but more than one. And when I say that, I've got 2 Yamabukis, I've got 3 Sankis, I've got 4 Kahaku. So yeah, not all of them. I've got no, not all of them are paired up, but a good fair few of them are. I've got 2 Shuru Utsuris. I've got 1 Ki, 1 He. I suppose they're all still Utsuris of a fashion, but I don't know, mate. I do think I think I don't believe that they should be kept solo for a start. Should they be kept with the same types of varieties to pair them off? Maybe not so much as that, but I do think most people do have 1 or 2 of the same variety in the ponds when they've got a good number of fish. Don't think it's needed. I think it's more a preference in it. You see one fish and you think, oh, that's a real nice kaku, and then you think another one, you think, oh, that's even better than my last kaku, and the impulse to buy is there, and you might not move on that fish, and you end up with another one and another one and another one. But I do think certain things like yellow, it's nice having a couple, because I do think like a Yamabuki in an environment of ponds and fish that are all there, as in, you know, you got a pretty yellow looking Ginrin Karashigoi or Karashigoi or Deutsch Karashigoi. Having that Deutsch Karashigoi in the 2 Yamabukis, which fortunately for me, my Karashigoi is quite yellow in colour, I do think that gives a break up to the other colours in the pond, making it more vibrant and making stuff stand out more. So I do think certain colours need to be in there in numbers. That might make that a little bit more sane, but I think you must have a pair of everything, at least. You must for sure. Sent me a picture of his pond the other day, guys, and I was like, shit, man, goddamn, that's 1 overstocked pond. And then he opened up the other half of the pond and showed me the other half, which I couldn't see in the actual first picture. And I thought, oh, maybe not so much, because it was all the fish clustered to the point where he'd removed the pond covers so you could see the fish. And I was thinking, God damn, Lee, you've got some fish in there, mate. And then he sent me the next video, which showed the pond for its entirety, which made it look a lot bigger than what it was. And it didn't look quite as busy then, but yeah, bit of a surprise. God damn, I'm getting dry mouth. Let's see what this bumhead's up to. Ooh. Bear me 1 second, guys. Let's try to see if he's making his way home or whether he's not. Because I got a sneaky suspicion they're not doing, which is what it is. Might be on his way back, might still be travelling. Which, if he is, oh, the fingers crossed, he'll let us know when he gets back home. Right then, what do you think, guys? Do you think that you should? There we go. Just leaving. Hate this game. There we go. I think it's one of those things, though, mate. It's one of those things, isn't it? When you're traveling and you're traveling around doing your liner work for ponds and pond liners and all the rest of it, you got to go where the work is. He just sent me a pinned location, so just so you believe me. Trying to get out of it, but he did think, well, he did expect to be traveling back and being late. So there we go. Got to have a Yama, Platinum Organ, and a Chag. 100%, mate. I would totally agree with that, without a doubt. In fact, you know, I could be really tempted to eradicate patterns from a pond completely. I don't mean that in a bad way, or that I want to get rid of my fish. But I could go with a single colour, you know, like going with a Asagi. Snow Asagi. I know they're not a single colour technically, but you know what I mean. There's more of the same type of colour rather than a checkerboard pattern where you have with your Tsuris and such. But a Chag, Yamabuki, Karashigoi, and then you've got Platinum Orgon Ginrin variations of them all. I do think that, yeah, I could definitely go with that and agree totally that every pond should have a chag. And I spent a bit of time with my chag can't remember. I think it was in the last video that I uploaded, with my hands in the water, trying to encourage him to come in a bit closer. And I knew for a fact that if I took a mealworm and he held that under the water, he came straight in, but I don't want to be giving my protein. I just teased him a little bit to see if we could get him to come up close. And when he got close enough to be able to take it, I removed it and pulled it away and then put my hand back in to see if he'd come up. And I've been working on the fish a little bit, trying to get them to be a bit more tamer, tame them down to how they used to be. But is that a good thing, having tame fish? And then you get a predator come round and stab them in the head again. Is it the lesser two evils? And having that and having fish too tame might not be such a good thing because they end up getting damaged and injured. But yes, 100%. Yame, Platinum, Ogon, and a Chag, Karashigoi, Benigoi. 100%, mate. Totally agree. Benigoi on the latter end of the scale because they just look like great big goldfish, but they still appreciate them. Super Mango. Oh, man, yeah, I could do a single coloured pond with ease and enjoy it with pleasure, because the only thing that they've got to do everything with then is literally just the scalation and the fuckery. They've got nothing else that they can better themselves with. They've got to be body, skin luster, and scalation, because there is no pattern. So yeah, I totally agree. Right, what's this one? Gaz, have you thought about building a small grow-on in your shed and having a play with some fry? Do you know what, mate? If I hadn't cocked up, I could have done that. I could have, because you know when you get, if any of you like gardeners or semi-hoarders, you'll know where I'm coming from. You think, I'll stick that in the shed, it'll come in. And you stick it in the shed and you think, that's been in there for fecking years and I've never used it once. I could have done that. I could have made half the shed into a grow-on, but I ballsed up and I insulated the full shed. And I've just got to admit, thank you all. I'll bring them up in a sec. I ballsed up and I insulated the full shed, covered up all the windows, so there'd be no natural light in there. But yeah, maybe, mate. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've enjoyed growing the odd couple of fish on and taking, little tamasabas from this sort of size, which I've now got out there in the front garden, in the mini pond that are this sort of size. And I've got, I'll show you. We've got a few. Hang about. Let's tilt that there. We've got a few in there that are just kicking about in there, chilling around, that are growing in there and growing on, and mixed up with tropicals as well at the same time. Imagine that. Who says you can't cross different types and have them living in harmony and peace and all that rest of it? But yeah, I've got 3 tamasabas left in there, and those 3 are going to my dad's this. Because my dad has his front garden pond. He's got 1 or 2 little koi in it, but he's got a lot of goldfish, and he loves the goldfish because they're quite simple. I mean, they're as hard as nails, they're bulletproof, and every year he gets them spawning. And I want to see if I know 100% there's 2 males to 1 female in that tank. 100%. I know that because they've driven the poor female around in there about a month and a half ago, all over the tank, chasing around everywhere, trying to encourage her to spawn. And I've often thought about having a go and doing a few fry because of that kind of thing. And I've messed about with, helping other people spawn a few fish and gone down to New Forest Koi, graded through spawns and stuff down there. And I've really enjoyed it, mate. And I have enjoyed it. But, yeah, it's the doing with them all when you've done with them all. You buy a bag of 200. And let's face it, if you're doing it right, you might lose 10 or 15 or so, leaving yourself with 290 fish. And each time you grade through, you go through a culling process. Don't necessarily have to cull to kill, cull to remove in sense. But when butterfly koi. But yeah, I'll read that next bit. But yeah, when you've got to have an outlet for them, haven't you? You've got to get somewhere to get rid of them. There's deformities which you can cull off, and to me personally, a lot of people don't agree with it, but a deformed fish in a natural environment wouldn't exist, wouldn't live. Nature would take charge of that, and that fish would either long term, over the time of a period or however long it might be, would cease to exist, die, whatever. Survival of the fittest and all that lot. So deformities to me should be, I'm not talking about a twisted or crippled pectoral or whatever, but if the fish is bent all over the place and looking pretty strange, that would normally be the case. Swim bladder issues, whatever like that, those type of things eventually get to a point where the fish needs to be culled, got rid of, in my opinion. But you're left with a lot of fry, if you're doing it right, to break down each time you go through a grading, which, if you're doing and feeding right temperatures, 24 to 26 degrees, feeding the right foods, you should be getting 1 to 1.5 to 2 cm a week. So in a matter of weeks, when you've got 200 fish in a cubic meter of water, needs to be reduced from 200 down to 100 within a matter of weeks, within a matter of months. You're doing it again and again and again until eventually you're left with your 5 or 6. Where do you get rid of all those fish when you don't really know anybody that has ponds? I don't really want any particular ones that are all that good, because most people want that show fish in the pond, and the ones that you're knocking back tend to be rejects, and the rejects are not what people want. So there are some people out there that take them, don't get me wrong, but that's my concern. If I didn't, I'd have got them. But I have thought about, or swimming footballs, Lee. Yeah. Oh, guys, I've got Benny guys, goldfish. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, I have enjoyed doing it in the past, and I have grown a few on in my tank before. A few that's still in the pond are ones that I got in a tiny little fish, tiny little fry, and grew them on. Grew them on first of all in a tropical tank, move them out there into that little mini pond, then from the mini pond to my first bigger pond to this bigger pond, and there's still 2 out of that original lot in there. I did give a few away, and I have lost 1 or 2 to a great big error, and that scoffed them. But it is what it is. Right then. There we go. We'll have to be a while. Pond of churros would look mega. I tell you what does look mega, mate. A pond of churros, utsuris, with yamabukis in it, mate. That black, white, and yellow contrast looks, I know it doesn't sound it, but I've seen it at a shop as a display, been there in that environment and seen that black and white across yamabukis at the side of them. And there were probably a good 200 pieces in there of each, of 100 of one variety, 100 of another, and they looked mint together as a species, or as a specimen pond, whatever you want to class it as. I think that would be mint. I can understand why people do it and all, and have just one particular variety and keep them. I can completely get it. When you see new stock coming and all that kind of thing, you definitely enjoy looking at varieties, singular, because they do look appealing. When you see all that red and white, carcass coming up to the surface ready for feeding, it looks absolutely mint. Or a Dainichi Red Dragon. There you go, yeah. Super Mango for me. I think a Super Mango, the one that I saw years ago that a friend had, was probably one of the best single colour fish I think I've ever seen. And they look mint. When they're the right ones, they look absolutely fantastic. Absolutely stunning. Let's have a quick look at these then. What did our Vince send us through? Maybe it's some of his... Oh, God damn. Shit. That has changed. Right then. I don't know which is the start. I'm guessing it's going to be, that'll be the first one. Right, let's bring these up from our Vince. This is what he's been doing in long block. For all those that don't know, and I'm never, I doubt very much there'll be anybody other than just me that's not caught up with this. But go check him out. Vince Twister Kite, as you can see, logo there. That's his first one. Now I don't know which way I need to go now. This is going to either be a shit or bust to get it right or wrong. There we go. The SOS heat pump's being moved. Jabalite polystyrene for your insulation. Very cheap and effective, cost-effective way of insulating anywhere. If you wanted to get it from places like B&Q, you can get it in inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, and it is a cost-effective way of insulating a building. A lot cheaper than your Kingspan and such. Overboarding it, Vince, once you've done that, are you? Or are you going, excuse me, are you leaving it just as you are with the insulation? I was tempted to overboard mine, but I couldn't be asked. I thought the insulation is all I really need, and therefore that's all it's getting. I think that's the last one. Yeah, there you go. So it's been busy getting everything insulated. I'm saying that though, Vince, to be completely honest, mate, you're getting quite good at all that insulation, as you've been doing shit tons of it down there at New Forest Coin. So you've had plenty of practice. It's lovely and quiet in there. Apart from the side, when you get a squeaky airline rubbing against a bit of polystyrene, you get that horrible noise when you squeak polystyrene with like an handsaw, and you hear that noise as you're sawing through that. That makes my teeth cringe. That I don't like that sound at all. But yeah, there you go. There's a little bit of an inside of what Vince has been on with and been getting up to. Mint there. It's surprised me just how big it looks on camera when you take a photo in wide angle lens. But when you're in there, it's quite compact and bijou, mate, isn't it? Long block being the actual literal opposite. Long block, that's not that long. Is that the leftover gaffer tape from your leg, Vince? You'd have been better off using foil tape and all rather than gaffer tape, because over a period of time, gaffer tape, when it's like gets like 12 months old, it separates out, the glue dries up and it all comes off. That foil tape sticks like shit to a blanket for a long, long time. He's gone over to the light side. There you go. Too many varieties can be over top. I mean, I'd agree, mate. Too many varieties can be over the top. Kakugo Sanke should be the way. You reckon? Just a straight. Ooh, you've just reminded me something there, Mr. Paul Cunningham. He sent me, for all those that watched from the very beginning and watched the intro. At the very beginning of the intro, you'll see that there are some, I think, some Kahaku, Ginrin Kahaku, the vast majority of them, that are on the video, and they're picked and selected from Odokan, and then obviously picked and selected by Ryan from Exclusive Koi. And when he picked him, Mr. Paul Cunningham actually got one of the actual fish that it came from him himself, from us, and he, I think, Mariyama. They were from the breed of Mariyama, picked and selected by Odokan, and then picked and selected by us. And Paul Cunningham made a purchase of one of them, and it's turned out to be an absolute stunner. I'll bring this up for you guys and let you have a look at this little video. I'm saying that it's a short little video. I'll get this, but we can have a look at this together because it is absolutely mint. We have to appreciate it, as Paul Cunningham is not a YouTuber and still likes to do all his video formatting in that direction as opposed to in that direction, but we still get to appreciate a very nice fish. But it's coming on absolutely mint. I knew this fish when I saw it on the first day when we were over in Japan. I knew this fish were going to look good, and it did look good. It stood out as the number one piece in that bowl, 100%. And now, well, here we go, guys. Have a quick look at this. As a bit of the first koi appreciation for this year, this being the first one that's been submitted and been sent in, that is absolutely stunning. Look at that for a pattern. And it's gone from, I think it was 22 or 23 cm when he got it to 34 cm, I think he said. But that is absolutely stunning. And quite a technical pattern to maintain and keep looking as good as that throughout. You got your sachet and your kiwa of every step and every section and every dam throughout that fish is mint. I mean, the head pattern, wow. I mean, that's stunning. No trimming, no cutting, no alterations on that fish. Natural pattern of that is absolutely stunning. Pause that. Ooh, pause that right there. Look at that for a head pattern. And I was going to say there, look, the sachet that you've got on this, on the first dam, the kiwa that's in the back of that one. The only thing, Paul, and I'm interested to see what you think, mate. What do you think that this little bit here will do? I'm thinking that over time, as the fish grows, will separate out and make that little bit more of a defined line. I don't think those will join up. But again, we've got Alan Tate in and we've got Paul in, and they're way more experienced than I. Whether or not it will actually close up. Do you think it will close up? Yeah. Is that so? That's a piece that's becoming more and more Benny coming up in there from the original when it was a little bit more whiter then. So you reckon it'll close? Well, there we go. But again, look, as we look at the pattern throughout that fish's body, kiwa on every one of the scales of each. Technically, I mean, I'm saying several dams. There isn't that many dams there because it's all interlinked. So we've got one section there, another section there, one here and one there. First one on the edge. So one, and this is one. So technically you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, a 5, and a 6. But that, mate, that is mint. Paul sent me a message saying, I just wanted to show you this. I want you to have a look at it and see what you think to it. Because he knew I rate like the fish when he came to pick it up. I was like, mate, this is that to me. Best fish, number one fish, and 100%. And I've got one of its siblings in my pond. Nowhere near as good as that. But still nice, still a good fish. But that one, can't wait. I hope to see that on Koi Scene, mate. I hope it does you well. And if that does close up, that will neaten up that first dam section, wouldn't it? Sorry, second dam, and make a goddamn nice fish. But again, stayed well, looks really well body-wise on it. But look at the peduncle on the back of the fish. Look at the power in that. I'm getting Lee sending in videos now, like she was popping up on screen, Lee. Look at the power through the peduncle in the back of that, and the odormate at the very back of it there, which is the last section before textbook. I wonder what Mr. Tate's opinion of that fish is. Benny plate throughout, absolutely stunning, fantastic. Lee, feck off. And then we've got super bright Saroja and looking absolutely spot on. Is trying to make sure that we get to have a look at some more fish on the first official Koi appreciation, I'm guessing, Lee. But there we go. We've got stunning sashi and kiwa on it, beautiful head plate, pattern, lovely, vibrant Benny, and the Saroja to the rest of the fish is absolutely mint. But, I mean, if you were buying a Nisai, which that is now, that's the kind of peduncle and body shape and what have you, if we can get it a bit more straighter, that you'd like to be looking for and you'd like to be choosing. A little powerhouse. There we go. Perfect stuff. And you can see there, close up. So Alan says again, same closes up. That'll be mint if it does. Again, to me, I think it would have looked nice if it had made a bit of separation too. It would have made that a little bit more quirky flow through the pattern. But if it does close up, it'll make an exceptional pattern also. You just see that I'm trying to get it where that light's not on that little section. There. This is the bit here that I'm talking about, closing up. Can Ginrin get huge, Gaz? Not as big, mate. No, not as big as you'd been saying that. That's wrong to say. Older bloodlines never really tend to get as big. Might top out 70, 60, 70, 80 cm. But now you're seeing stupid sizes of all sorts of varieties coming out, being Ginrin. The bigger the variety, the more they're breeding in better bloodlines, getting better genes into him and producing bigger sizes out of them. So I was saying no, but technically they do, mate, because I've seen some pretty damn big Ginrin fish at shows over in Japan, and I've seen them that look, damn good, mate, and bigger than what they used to be. It used to always be the case that older bloodlines didn't get as big, and they tend to grow slower as well. So they say. Think they want you to zoom in? No, they're not saying close it up. I asked the question as whether or not this area would close up, not close up. They reckon it's going to close, not close. I don't even know if I can. Let's see. No, I can't. I don't think we can. We can't make it any bigger because it's a video, unfortunately. But that's a stunning fish, isn't it? Watch out for that one this year, guys, on the koi scene. And Mr. Paul Cunningham's trophies stacking up with that one, because that is mint. Right, like it. Always have from the minute I saw it. First time I saw it over there in Japan, and enjoyed looking at it until Paul came and picked her up and purchased it. But yeah, stunning fish, mate, and it's coming on. Look at thickness of that. That's a right body on it, man. Perfect, just what you want. I think they want you to zoom in, but nah, I don't think they do. I do like that though. Stunning, Lee Oliver says. My biggest Ginrin Sankey is nearly 60 cm. How old's that, Lee? How old's it and how long you had it, mate, before it got to that size? I'm just trying to see, make sure I didn't miss anything. Manic Miner says, I think I would prefer it without the Ginrin. Really? Yeah. I see. To me, though, I've always been a fan. If I had a choice of a pattern like that on a Ginrin or a non-Ginrin, I'd pick Ginrin every day. Don't know why. Just like the sparkly bling, like how they look when they've got that little bit of a sparkle and a bit of a twinkle to them. I prefer it. Aragoki Koi says that is beautiful with a thumbs up, 100%, mate. It literally is. Look at your opening credits. I don't know how far into it is how far into it is it in? I don't want to play it now, because if I play it now, I can't skip it along. So I can't bring it up to the sense to show. Let's have a see what Mr. Oliver sent in. Oh, crap. Close bloody program down. Let's see what Lee sent in. It's 2 Sankey and it's 2 Asagis. Flipping heck, mate. I've got to admit, they are nice as well. Let's have a quick look at these ones then. Seen as though it's you, Lee. I mean, I've seen these several times this week, or I see them several times a month. You do bowl up your fish a lot. But to me, they're there to be enjoyed, mate, aren't they? So why the hell not? There we go. It's 2 Sankeys that he's got. 2 Maritans. Two very nice fish. And that one being the Ginrin. Like that, mate. That's nice. It'd have been nice to see a bit of separation on the Marathon spot. A bit of a break on it. But I've just been extremely picky there. bit more body to them, mate, for its length. They have a bit more mass to them. But I know you said that you have start banging some more food in and trying to get some more body and size. But the more fish you've got in your pond, mate, the harder that becomes, doesn't it? The harder that is to do. And then the next one we've got is nothing. Look at that for a snow asagi, man. Just that little shimmy, mate, on the other one, which is doesn't detract from the beauty, though, mate, does it? I mean, but that snow asagi and that asagi is absolutely stunning. You're really good at bringing up sumi, aren't you? Right where you don't want it, and Benny where you don't want it, and all. I should give you my Goshki Sanke and see if you can bring Benny back up on that. You're good at getting secondary. See if you can replace some back on mine, and I don't seem to have that much luck bringing up Suma. So maybe I could get rid of your shimmies and you could replace my Benny. Yeah, well, Pete, the asagi got 2 shimmies. To be fair, well, things, mate, innit? I mean, if you're not showing, does it really matter? Does it matter? I mean, we all would like the perfect fish, but does it matter if they're not? Still beautiful, mate, isn't it? Matching. Look at head pattern on it. Absolutely banging. Head's as clean as a whistle. Scalation on it's mint. Benny fruit lateral and fruit dorsal and fruit pectorals, fruit fin, rear fins, caudal fins, and then your tail. Stunning, mate. I mean, look at its head. Its head pattern's lovely. You can't detract away from the beauty of that fish, mate. I'll be disappointed for a couple of little shimmies. Actually, as a question, Mr. Tate, while you are on, would that go down as a demerit? If it was, would that be something that you could choose between perhaps maybe that asagi and one that didn't have shimmies, and would that go against it if you were showing, or if you were going to show fish of that variety or that quality? But in a snow asagi, man, look at that. That is class. That is mint, mate, that snow asagi. If you could paint an asagi, that would be it, minus the shimmies. It would, mate, 100%. It's just I'm just wondering, curious as to know whether or not if such a shimmy as that one on there and that one there would detract or go as a minor against it if you were showing it. I'm guessing it probably would. But that's just my opinion. What do I know? Well, an hour and 27 minutes, and I'm literally getting a hoarse voice sitting here just chelping on my own. This has been lovely, hasn't it? Lovely, ladies and gents. I'm guessing now the crafty is working, travelling home. I just can't be asked. And if that's the case, well, it is what it is. And our Matt is stuck in traffic on his way home. Or travelling home due to a busy schedule. And Rick is in Benidorm, you lucky bastard. I wish I were in Benidorm. I can say that I don't know what's weather like in Benidorm this time of year. Is it red hot? Is it warm? Or is it, not all that good? I don't know. Never been abroad in spring to know whether it's hot or not. Gaz, riding solo. Boom. Mate, everybody knows I can talk shit. I can talk shit with best of them. So I've been doing this show for nearly 4 years now. I've talked more shite on here than anybody ever has. Oh, go on, Lee. Why not? Because that is such a nice fish, and this is a perfect way to start off. Shimmies affect the price, not if they're there after it's been purchased, which is exactly what happened to Lee, unfortunately. Sorry, Lee. But there we go. There's one very minor. Only hobbyists get hung up on things like that. Now, see, that's the good thing to know, Alan, though. If it's only a very minor, I mean, let's say you had two that were equally paired up against each other. You've got to have something at some point, at some stage, where you can call it first or a second, haven't you? So something like that. may very well be a minor, but it might also be the little bit that prevents it from getting a position, so to speak, depending on what it were up against. But it won't bother me in any way, shape, or form with that one, because although the two shimmers are there, they're only tiny, they're only small. Fucking hell, mate, that is lovely. How did you pick that? Or were it picked for you? That is a stunner, mate. I really would like one of them. Although I like an Asagi, that is by far a nicer Asagi than the traditional, in my eyes. And again, I think when that's in your pond, between the difference of the bright Ginrin Saroja with that Benny underside and patterning throughout everything, just pops, man. Just makes that look so much better. The only one thing that looks better than that, in my eyes, is a Ginrin Perugina Platinum Ogon, whichever you want to class it as. But yeah, lovely, mate. Stunning. Right then. Anybody want to join us? Or forever hold your peace. Feel free, drop us a comment. If you don't. If you do. Lee Hadfield was going to help me separate it. Separate it? What do you mean, separate it? Some people might not agree with this. But if you use a very gently sedate the fish, but gently scrape the area of that shimmer, they tend to just be on the surface and can come off. I've done it on a kahaku of mine, which it's one that my son bought me years and years and years ago, and it got a little shimmy on its benny patch and a little one on its saroji on the body, and I scraped it off with a tiny little scalpel blade, and it oh no, don't separate it, mate. Nah, I wouldn't separate that. I'd leave it as is. Looks more natural, mate. I was just being pedantic in that sense, but you know, shimmers, you can remove them. Sometimes you can just scratch them with your fingernail and they'll come away. They're not always, but they're not normally always that deep, and you don't tend to do any damage to the scale because it's on top of the colour that's over underneath, if that makes sense. But I'm not saying you should, or I'm not saying anybody out there should. I'm just saying you can, as I've done it myself. Out of curiosity, I give it a scratch from my fingernail, it came off. And then I took the other one off with a little bit of a scalpel blade. I didn't even need to sedate the fish either. It just sat there and let me do it. But yeah, absolutely stunning, mate. Beautiful. But not everybody agrees with that type of thing, and I'm not trying to encourage it and say it's right or wrong, you know. But again, when you're saying there, separating it, nah, mate. I'd think, for me, I'd leave it be. There we go. If Lee's had a better body, right. See, that makes more sense. This is the shit that I find interesting. If Lee's had a better body, not saying that yours has not got a good body, but if it had the better body and skin, the minors are not going to have any effect on its placing. Sweet. Well, there you go, Lee. If yours has got the better body shape, if yours has got the better luster to the skin, the better skin quality, then the pattern being affected by a minor shimmer wouldn't affect its placing. Interesting. There you go. That gives people a bit more of an insight of what they could perhaps maybe take to something where they might have thought in the past, shit, I've got one or two minor shimmies here on this fish and I might not necessarily take it because of that. There you go. It doesn't affect its placing. Or if yours is better than the other categories. Let's say if you've got another Asagi in there and it was more of a slimmer looking fish and not had the good body structure to it and its skin was a bit lacking in luster and not as bright and as vibrant, then yours would place above it. Meant. Thank you very much, Alan. Appreciate it, mate. Boom. Get in. There you go. But yeah, the Marathon Spot League, nah, leave it be, mate. I think sometimes a lot of them end up tending to look a little bit too manipulated, in my opinion. Perfection doesn't exist. And unfortunately, when man gets involved, they try to make things look perfect. And making things look perfect tends to make things look unnatural. And when it looks unnatural, that reduces, in my eyes, the quality of it. Just an opinion. But we all have them, don't we? That's what it's all about. Right then. What we got? Anybody got any topics they'd like to have a natter or a chat about? I think Matt, by the time he's got in and he's drove all the way home, might not want to be asked to sit down on here this evening and natter and chat and talk fish with us. He might just want to think, you know what, sod it, I'm going to chill out and just have an evening with the missus. Dr. Kenpo says, evening, Gaz and chat. Good evening, mate. Hope you're well. Bill says, well, that was fun. Moved on by the police. Said we couldn't park there. Shit. That's a tad harsh, mate. Especially if you want it legally parked. But I suppose you've probably been kicked out of better places than that before today, mate. So take it with a pinch of salt. Don't let it bother you. They're only doing the job out there. Or job's worth. Let's see if I've missed anything. I don't know if I've missed any comments. I can't believe I've managed to maintain an audience of 114 people on my Jack Jones. I'll mince that. I'm just going to go quickly back through and see if there's anything that I've missed or anything that we've got question-wise, because I have been talking a lot of crap. Now, last one that we got in was from Aragoki Kaya. Says, Gaz, have you any thoughts about building a small grow on in your shit? You know what, mate? I enjoy the growing side of things, but the growing on side of things, I really enjoyed watching and seeing fish growing at work. That's been something that I really have enjoyed over these last few months. But yeah, that's another story. Lee Hadfield told me not to separate it. God, man, you confuse the crap out of me. After I asked if it could be separated, not Lee was right. Well, hey, anything's doable, isn't it? You can make anything look how anything. I mean, have you seen some of the patterns that they put into fish? Drawing freaking figure of eights and all sorts into them and cutting all sorts of shapes into them. Really don't agree with that shit at all. But a scale alteration here, there, and everywhere, whatever. You know, it's not everybody's cup of tea. But it happens, and it is what it is. But yeah, drawing and patterning fish, when you see the levels and the scales of what some people do, is, yeah. Well, we've shown them on here before, so you all know the type of thing and fish I'm talking about and what they look like. It's amazing me. I'm just having a quick look here now. It amazes me how many times you get people, even though they sign up and agree to the supposable rules of the Gazza's Koi Pond community, how they still put fish on for sale when it stipulates in rule number 5, no sale of koi. And yeah, I have to decline a few because, unfortunately, get you banned from Facebook communities and groups from having that kind of thing and selling fish on your groups. So when it does come out, right, is the only suggestion that we're going to get in. It's actually going to be the Goshka. How we're going to do koi appreciation for next week being the Goshka. Well, we'll do Ginrin, non-Ginrin, and Deutsch varieties or variants of the 3. There we go. Unless anybody wants to rather do something different, that's what we'll go for next week's koi appreciation. And the koi appreciation or pond appreciation as well. If anybody wants to send in any pictures, photos, or videos, You don't have to go to the trouble of videoing everything. We'll just pick whichever pond we like the look of most, and from then on, we'll see what we think and pick which fish we enjoy the most and enjoy that as well. I still think it's disgraceful, cutting fish. I agree, Rob, to a degree, but you ever had a dog with a doctored tail? Is it any different? Have you ever had a dog with sometimes clipped ears? Not saying you have. I'm just asking the question. Most people have had a lot of dogs, and most dogs have some kind of things done to them. A puppy or whatever. Nobody minds seeing a lamb in the field every spring as it runs around. It's looking all nice and fluffy. And if you haven't ever noticed, when they're born, they've got a long tail, and as they get to adults, they don't, because there's a band put round them. You know, different between putting a band round bullocks' balls to they drop off, so that they're not sterile and running around trying to ramp crap out of everything. But it happens, doesn't it? Things are manipulated to how we want and how we have them, and it's done with all sorts of stuff. I mean, not justifying it, just devil's advocate, playing and seeing both sides. So, yeah, I agree, Rob, to an extent. Do you think it's as bad to remove a shimmy? Or do you say 100% your fish is as it is and should be as it is and remain so, as it's born, as nature intended? Just be interesting to have your thoughts on it, mate. Oh, missed that one. Sorry, Doug. I have 6 koi coming from exclusively koi tomorrow. Thought it was a good time as temps are going up. Just went outside and it's 5 degrees. Shit, mate. Well, you could always contact them, mate, and let them know and say, temperature-wise, I've lost a lot of temperature, but you've also got to remember, mate, that those fish may have already been cooled and they may already be down at a low enough temperature. And by the time they've travelled to you within a 24-hour period, they're probably going to be going into your pond at roughly around about, imagine the fish are picked up. They go into a van. He finishes his route. They go back to a depot. They sit in the depot. They go from the depot to dispatching depot via an articulated lorry, packed up, shipped up, moved on to wherever they're going, to closest depot to you. From there, they'll spend overnight in that depot. They'll then get unpacked again first thing in the morning and loaded into the vehicles ready for going out. By the time it's been in there and gone through that period, that fish has cooled down, mate, somewhat. And by the time it gets to you, it's probably going to be at ambient temperatures anyway, which will be somewhere in around 5 and 6, 7 or 8 degrees, depending on how warm the vehicle is that it's been in. So don't panic too much, mate. If you're in doubt or you're unsure, contact them, let them know. Can we do what variety is this? As I still have a few, yes, mate, 100%. I still have a few fish that I'm not sure on. Do you know what, mate? I said it today in the video that I've done. I have a fish, and I am still torn between, and not 100% sure what the hell it is. I don't know if it's a Ginring Kahaku. I don't think it is. The Benny, so to speak, looks a bit more plummy purple colour as opposed to Benny red, orangey red. And I think it's a Ginring Garoma with a shimmy on it. And that shimmy has actually started to get a little bit smaller. So I'm not sure if it's a shimmy or if we're assuming that come up and now it's fading off and dropping back off again. But I don't know what the hell that fish is. And I would like to know. So yeah, we could do that. We could add in, if you wanted, we could do a section where we'd ID fish identification. Let us know. If you what this variety, name this variety, tell me what this variety is, wherever you want to class it as. We could also have that popped in for anybody that would like to identify a fish. And we can have the panel, or if this is a repeat of what is to come, you can have myself, and sit here and tell you what I think it is. Or collectively, as a group, we could do the same and tell everybody's opinion in the comments what they think. But yeah, I agree with that. Argo Kikai, mate. I think that would be an excellent idea. Definitely something to be thinking about. I shall add it to, when I post in for the koi appreciation, I will add it to. If you also have any varieties that you're unsure of, here is your place that you can stick a picture in or a video of your fish so we can ask the panel. There we go. Right, that's what I'm saying. The difference between cropping or docking for health reasons and performing a function versus cropping, docking, or cutting animals for beauty. Is there? No, I don't think there is, mate. I think it's snipping something off that should be there. Wrap it up however you want it, Jonathan, but it's the same fucking thing. A working dog having its tail doctored so it stops it from getting damaged or broken or whatever and all that side. I understand the terminology and everything behind it, but as in the picture there, adopting ears for medical reasons, which I know a lot of bull breeds have, because if they don't, they end up getting irritation, bad ears, and all the rest of it, and cause them a lot of discomfort, a lot of pain. And I know that's originally why it's done, especially in the bully breeds. I get it, mate. I understand it. But if it didn't need it, should it necessarily be done? But years gone by, it used to be done. You'd see a non-working dog of a working dog variety having its tail doctored just so it met the breed standard. But yeah, same thing in it. Cutting animals for beauty. There's a lot of people dye the dogs' furs and coats just to make them look pretty, so they can match their outfits, their handbags, and everything else. Do you agree with that? Now, do you agree with the Easter chickens where they put dye into the eggs, and so when they hatch out, they've got different colour plumage? Not particularly. Do you agree with tropical fish that are injected in the egg, in the yolk, before they're born to produce vibrant, luminescent? Yeah, it happens, doesn't it? Don't mean it right. Don't mean people agree on it, and don't mean people enjoy it. So I get it from all sides, mate. I can see it, I can understand it, and I can appreciate it. But that's a function. Yeah, I agree, mate. But there's no difference between the two in the operation side of things. It's still the same in it. But yeah. More than 10 to 20 years ago, Gary, yes, the hobby got more popular and technology of heat pumps. What did I miss there? Sorry. Shit, Gary's question. Oh, damn it. You were asking that, Gary. Do you think more koi are being purchased in water? Do I think more fish are being purchased in water in winter and early spring now? Yeah, mate, 100%. Than what, as Gary said, as Jonathan said there, as they were years gone by. Yes, I would say 100%. A lot of people that purchase throughout the winter months, through into early spring, purchase and expect companies now to overwinter. Is that something a lot of people do? From my experiences, yeah, a heck of a lot. It's a lot riding on it when you're doing it. It's a lot of work and space taken up in, people's shops, environments, polytunnels, whatever you want to class it as. But yeah, I do think there are a hell of a lot more. But personally, Gary, when you've got people like Rick that are turning around and saying it's the best time, it's the safest time to be shifting and moving fish, I think that has a little bit to do with it as well. But yeah, 100%. And I do think, as Jonathan said there, more than 10, 20 years ago, Gary, yes, hobby got more popular and technology of heat pumps and pond bills, filtration systems and everything. Yeah, I would totally agree. I do think there are a lot more people purchasing throughout back end of the year, winter months into spring. Definitely. I mean, you've just treated yourself for your birthday, Gaz, haven't you? Don't know if you like being called Gaz or Gary, but yeah, you've just purchased you some early purchase, isn't it? Spring. You just got those first quick early temperatures come up. Ponds are starting to warm up a little bit. And first thing you did is gone out there and bought yourself Garomo and Benekiko, I think, was it? A little birthday treat. But why the hell not? If your pond's capable of taking them and your temperatures are reasonable and you're introducing them, you've got less chance of losing a fish due to stress in a colder environment, as in shipment wise, than you have a fish being shipped out in summer once it's too hot. That's always a better reason and a better way to do it. But yeah, I'd agree, mate, 100%. I do think there is a lot more, but I do think it's more people purchasing now in winter through to spring months now than not purchasing and saying, thank you very much, send that fish home. It's purchased and overwintered, in my experience. That's what we got there. What's this one? Cropping ears is to prevent hematomas in the ear. And fashion cropping is a very different thing from working crop. Yeah, 100%, mate. You know, like you see where you've got your, what do they call them? What do they call them? I don't remember the type of breed that they do it with. And they normally do them and use them as like guard dogs. But the full black-bodied, tan feet, paws, forget the name, but they have, and they cut their ears to make them to a point. It makes them look a bit more vicious. But yeah, I don't agree with that shit. But yeah, if it's something like that, mate, and it's necessary and it's needed, then yeah. Doberman pincher. There you go, Paul. Thank you very much. I had a right brain fart. Then couldn't remember that. I could remember the pincher, just couldn't remember the Doberman bit. But yeah, the Doberman pincher's done, and even so much as to pinning the jawline or pinning the lip to make them look like they're always showing the fangs and are a bit more aggressive. Not my idea of something you should be doing, but shit happens, doesn't it? A heck of a lot. Tails are cut so they can turn down or in a hole, turn around or in a hole. Some people might say they might not necessarily need to be down that fucking hole. You see what I mean? There's what makes it perfectly fine to cut a dog's tail so it can get down an hole, but not perfectly fine for a badger or rabbit to be down that hole and not be disturbed. Where do you draw the line and what's nice, what's cruel, what's good, what's bad? you can flip it every time, Jonathan. Vin says, I'm 21 again tomorrow. Many happy returns, mate. Happy birthday for tomorrow. That's because I'm banner forget to send it and remind you and say happy birthday tomorrow. So all the very best and many happy returns for tomorrow. I'm sure you just sent me another something or other. Somebody did. Oh, sweet. Here we go. We've got a long block video. One second, that's there, right? I thought you were showing. I don't even know if I can hear this, Vince, but we'll try. Let's share that. Bring it up. Start it back at the beginning. Pause. Wait. I'm hoping you're actually in there now. Then you listening to me in the old long block, short block, medium block, whatever you want to class it as now. There we go. Let's get some fucking volume on it. And I'm going to say this, mate, and please don't take offence. But that is one of the neatest jobs I've seen you do up to press. That is pretty damn tidy for you, Win. You're the one person that does my titting when it comes to silicon sealant because you blather it everywhere and it's all over the place and you never all that fussed about whether if it does its job, it does its job. That's you. And you go to that point where you think, yeah, it does. It's functionable. That'll do for me. But that's pretty damn neat, mate, isn't it? So now, let me guess. This bit here now is the new biochamber, which you've now got that links through to this biochamber, or does it go up to the top of the shower first and then back down into the biochamber? And then from that biochamber returns. And first you've got this coming through for your feed back in that you put in and you put into place for drum system. How's the little drum doing? If anybody didn't know, does it show it here now? I'm guessing that's going to be inside that box, is it? Is it in here? The new, oh, it is there, insulated and in there. So that's the feed for his new mini drum, which I've got to admit, mate, that's pretty cool. Although it is small, it's quite dinky. But I reckon just another start. I mean, you can never have too much filtration, can you? It looked pretty damn good, mate, to be fair. And for what they cost, that's cheaper than buying a fucking pump, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? That's cheaper than what you can get. The price that you paid for that little drum, which only add to your filtration, is by far cheaper than what you can buy an average standard Veriflow pump or non-Veriflow pump, dry mount, wet mount, whatever. That little drum was cheaper than one of them. So I think it's way better than a Tempest, mate, isn't it? In my opinion. That's what I think. But yeah, pretty neat and tidy that, mate. Coming on, looking good. And if you leave it all white, you won't have to paint it all white, will you? But you've got some of that black and white polystyrene in there as well. He's going to send us through another video, which will be the next one, and I'll bring that up when he does it. But yeah, it looks like it looks like surprisingly like you've got a hell of a lot more room in there than what you've ever had, even though you've not made the building any bigger. And the heat source pump now is going on to the main pond then, where you can get some growth going on in there. Right, let's see if I missed anything before or whilst Vince is, and yeah, don't forget everybody, guys, Vince, 21 again tomorrow. My ass. There we go, Rob's putting there. Do you think cutting is the reason not many tan shows being entered into koi shows? Because tan shows is number one of the biggest areas where cutting goes on. Possibly, mate. Yeah, possibly. It could be they are entered into the shows. Could be that. I know on the koi scene, if they are thought to be, they are, if they are thought to be altered, manipulated, and what have you, they're disqualified. And I think that goes with any fish. But yeah, I think it could be, mate. But I mean, how popular would you have a tan show? Who here in the comments would want an actual tan show in the pond? Because I'm not that keen on them. I don't mind a tan show Sankey, tan show shower, whatever, or a Maritan. I quite like them. I think they're quite appealing. But an individual single tan show, Kaku, Benny Spot, Saroji Body, don't really float my boat, to be fair. I can appreciate a nice one. And I can appreciate a good, good body, but and all the rest of it. But yeah, I think they're a bit boring. Myself. A failed Kaku, where all the rest of the Bennies normally dropped off. I think it was one of the best things that they ever came up with out there in Japan when they turned around and said, "We're going to call this a tan show because it's only got a little bit of red left on its head. We'll make it into a perfect circle. It'll look just like a flag." Who knows? Right then. Doberman. And the farmer would argue pest control. They would, but some people do it for sport, mate, as well, though, don't they? But I mean, there is a little bit, there's all sorts of shit that goes on. The chat, hang about, right, we got there. There's something coming about me. That's a great name. What's your views, Gaz, on Chinese being a player in koi dealerships? Watch your vid today, and they are looking tasty. To be fair, mate, there's a lot of Chinese dealerships. There's a lot of Chinese purchasing fish out of Japan, and it certainly has become one of the bigger countries that are going over to Japan and picking up and getting fish and taking them in massive amounts and massive numbers. But I have watched a couple of videos of a place in Japan, where the stock was purchased from Japan, and they have started now going into breeding lines of Chinese koi. And I've got to admit, I couldn't see a hell of a lot of difference. I couldn't see any difference. They looked absolutely mint. I can't remember of the video, but I'll try to see if I can have a Google of it and put it up. But yeah, the quality of the fish, mate, and what they're doing and what they're breeding and what they're spawning and what they're providing. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, mate. They do look tasty, don't they? Price-wise, is there going to be a difference? Is there going to be a mass difference between fish from China or fish from Japan? Who knows? It's not something I know a great deal on, to be fair, mate. But it is also always a topic that we can put on and we can have on at a later date and discuss when we've got a panel in again as well and see what their opinions are. But I would certainly say there are definitely more of them and becoming a lot more quality breeders. And that would be, I think that would be fair to say throughout, all over the world, not just necessarily Japan, China, Indonesia. I think quality of koi are coming on in leaps and bounds all over the place. I think if you look at Israeli koi, from what they were like 20 years ago, are far better now than what they was then. The amount that they produce is fucking crazy, the numbers. But then again, if you look at British bred koi, from where they might have been 20, 30 years ago, they are also, a hell of a lot better than what they were. I think as the more people breed, the more people get involved in it, the more people expand, the more people grow, the better they become at the hobby, the industry and the business, the better the quality becomes. And for us as koi keepers and enthusiasts, we get to reap the rewards. Will that make stuff cheaper? I doubt it very much. I think they'll just become and end up being more and more expensive. Vince says, hang on, right. New video inbound. There we go.
Right, the bot.
We can hear it and all. Let's go back to live from. We could have just put you in comments, Vince. You could have just done this with us, didn't you? Could have just put you on panel. There we go. Right, drop that one out of the way. Put that right back to the beginning because you could hear you then.
Right, the bottom drain goes through the filtro to the pump, over the shower, into the bio chamber, back to the pond. Skimmer goes from there to the pump, up into the Chinese drum, and then it will be split across here to this upflow, come up through that upflow, come down along, go into the air sourcing pump, out of the air sourcing pump, up and into the Eric. Both of these filters go into the bio chamber, which is 4 foot by 2 foot by 4.5 foot deep, full of K1 that still needs a lot more K1. Chinese drum is literally smaller than my filtro. Squeeze them down here and lift that.
Look at that. That's a mint little drum. And see how much crap it were pulling out. Look at it all there in shoot. In waste shoot. Works better when it's switched on though, Vince.
got it set on a 24-second timer.
And he said there, I've got that set on a 20-second timer.
Just
24
sure
seconds.
that it's nice and clean.
I mean, that's pretty mint for a little drum filler.
Now, if the float switch doesn't get tripped, this will automatically clean in 40 minutes.
So it cleans every 40 minutes if it doesn't get tripped.
And the bio chamber.
I got a question for you then, Vince, while you're doing that. This is the kind of thing I'd like to see on the koi appreciation or the pond appreciation.
Delivered 5,000 litres an hour pump fed. Right.
5,000 litres an hour pump fed. That's pretty mint. Excuse me. That's pretty mint for a little drum system. And again, a perfect for 100. I forgot you said what you said there. 100 odd quid. 100 odd quid for a little filler system. That is cheaper than most pumps. That's cheaper than one of the upflow things, what they call them. Yeah, whatever they are. Tempest. So that's pretty good. That's a pretty damn nifty little bit of kit. That's additional filtration. Why, as a question for you, Vince, if you are watching, you are listening still, why have you 163 delivered? And that's delivered from China as well. That's a bargain. I mean, all those people that say, yeah, you'll find it really difficult to get any parts. At that price, you can buy two and have a backup just in case. Why do you always make your chambers so that they're sealed up? Why don't you make them so that you've got a removable lid so that you can get into, you know, like last time where you had a bit of an issue and you ended up with airlines that perished, clogged up, broke, stopped, and then you ended up with a giant cesspit of crap and shit, as you put it, in your actual bio chamber. It became a settlement chamber instead. Why do you not make it so that you got a pop-off lid so that you can, or an inspection panel so you can look and make sure every now and again just to check and make sure that is, rather than, you can still insulate it, but making it accessible but insulated, just out of curiosity. Saves on the drama of having to strip it all off and rip it all out. I've got removable panels. Good man. Forward thinking. That's all I'm thinking, mate, just because I know you've experienced it. I was hoping to God you were going to say that, because the last time and previous, when you've done it before in the past, and you had to tear it all apart, bring it all. There's no worse. When you were boarding it all up, I was thinking, what happens if something stops, leaks, breaks, all goes wrong? It's a complete strip of all. Yeah. To redo it all. Chinese koi are starting to be seen in the UK. And Alan Tate says the Chinese will be a serious koi breeder in the next few years. I think they will do, mate, as well. I really do think they will be serious. I can't remember that name of that. I seen it on YouTube. The name of a company that started breeding. Big massive place, big massive fancy building that they put all up and started doing and putting together, and we're actually literally starting new bloodlines by purchasing stock from Japan breeders and dealers, and their stuff that they were producing looked absolutely class, really did. So yeah, totally agree. And yeah, I think it won't be long before a lot of people have got that type of quality and those type of fish in the ponds. Right then, ladies and gents. I wonder if anybody's got any more or else that you'd like to have a natter and a talk about. If not, then after 2 hours of sitting here and talking on with Jack Jones, I might bring it to a nice early finish. We're going to see. Oh, Koi Cal. Just racking my head for you, as I know what a pain in the ass it is. My pain is my pond build, trying to get drainage in there. Isn't anything if anything, these things are sent to trials, and that's in reference to I was talking about on the last video that I did about getting water in and getting water to the back of my property. And the more I think about it, the more difficult and more of a pain in the ass it is. But one gentleman did have a good idea. He said you could go up into the attic, bring the pipe down, bring it out of the attic, well, run the pipe through the attic, you know, bringing it through from your bathroom supply. I could go up into a little airing cupboard that I've got, through and into the attic, along the attic wall, and then down the outside of the wall. And I was like, yeah, but the only thing is you've got an unsightly pipe running down the wall, and whenever I want to use it, it gets damn cold in Huddersfield. You know, we have some pretty damn cold temperatures and damn cold winters, and they run the risk then of bursting a pipe and having a pipe burst on the wall. I mean, you could do it in micro bore, could do it in smaller pipe, could lag it, could run it right down corner of the wall between mine and next doors and make it a little bit less visible. Could lag it with different coloured materials to make it so that it was less noticeable. And then he turned around and I said, but it's unsightly looking it down outside of your house wall. And then he turned around and said, yes, but you could put a little stop tap at the top so that you can switch it off in the attic and then open the tap at the bottom and all the water and drain down and out. And there is no risk then of it freezing throughout the winter months, which was a bloody good idea, mate. And thank you very much for that one. There was another gentleman, which is Coy Carl, who was turned around and said, you could go from your header tank in your attic. Well, I don't have a header tank in my attic, which is when I've been having a conversation back and forth. Don't have a header tank. And he said, well, you could, you know, come from a shower or something like that. Well, I could, but my shower's in my bathroom at the front of the property, same problem. The main issue that I've got, the one gentleman that turned around and said, you could do it by going up into your attic or along your wall inside your attic and out and down the outside of your wall, was the best and simplest idea. And I could do it in Hep2O pipe work. And I've even got the pipe to do it right outside in the garden for another project that I was going to do that I changed my mind about and not doing. I was going to put like a bit of a domed netting over the pond by putting a couple of stakes in and then putting the pipe over to make a framework and then tying it down both ends and then putting a netting over so that I had a domed off netting over the top. But I thought it could be a bit of a pain in the ass. I really wish I'd done it now, but I've still got the pipe work and I've still got a load of Hep2O pipe work that I could do and put the valve upstairs in the attic and drain it down every winter so that it don't freeze. And that was probably one of the best suggestions that I've had as of yet, and probably a very doable idea. So, yeah, totally agree, Carl, if you're watching. It is. These things are sent to triers, and they definitely do. But the main thing is if I were running it from the house and running it from the front, I'd have to take up my living room carpet, the underlay. Now, the reason why it's difficult and it's a pain in the ass is I don't have conventional floorboards, as in, you know, tongued and grooved little floorboards, timber, where you can cut down one board and then take that out and still be able to pin it back into place over the joists. I've got those great big 2 foot by 8 foot fucking shit chipboard things. And when you take a section of that out, you've then got to make a framework underneath it. You've got to put noggins in everywhere. You've got to fasten everything back down. And it's a pain in the ass to take it up. You end up then with squeaky floorboards, and that drives me fucking mad. Whoever had the central heating system fitted in the house in the first place, prior to us moving in here, they literally just put a circular saw through the floor. And there's like patchworks cut out everywhere. And when we walk on our hallway, there's no way anybody will be able to break in my house and get upstairs. That is for sure, because it makes that much noise. And I've even put extra fixings in, put in an anti-squeak, putting anti-squeak glue down it and everything, and it still does it. It's not as bad as it was years gone by, but down the gutter, that's a clean. I don't have a gutter. Because we're semi-detached and we're attached to next door, the gutter goes along and the fall pipes on my neighbour's property, and we share the same. It's not on mine. And at the front, it's on mine. And we've got fronts for me, backs for him. So whatever goes that way, we share a 50-50 split into rainwater runoff. But yeah, guys, for an unsightliness, surely you can go behind your gutter pipe. I would if I had one, but no, unless I run it through neighbours down there instead. The other way I could have done it was fit a guttering pipe to make it look less unsightly and run it inside it, pretending it's a gutter pipe. Nah, I'm not doing that. Run some run. No thanks. Run a trunking all the way around so I can have a 50mm trunking to get. Nah. That's an idea, Jonathan, but it's not. That one's definitely not for me. I can't be a weekend job sorted, mate. Yeah, I mean, doing it that way, doing it through the attic and what have you. I've got everything to do it, bar a isolation tap and a drain off tap. I could do that. That could be a piss easy job to do, mate. To be fair, a couple of little parts, a couple of little fixings, and then just a couple of brackets to click it to a wall. We'll see. It certainly would be. Well, I'm sure there was something that said there about it's much more fun going through your letterbox. It's a pain in the ass, mate, to be fair. And I know I say it's because we've got grandkids here out like that. They're always trying to get out to me, knowing I'm out there messing around with hosepipe and what have you. They always want to get out. Dogs always keep whacking his head through a letterbox and through cat flap because it's unlocked. But yeah, it's not fun. I don't have COVID, and I wouldn't want to put COVID up. I think it looks a bit like 80s, doesn't it? It's not my cup of tea. But I think that one would actually generally work. And the only thing I'd need to do is remove it. To do that one, where it was suggested to go up into the attic and come out then down, I'd only need to remove a bath panel, and I could get to mains water. Actually, yeah, you can, Rob. You can, Foxer. You're right, mate. You can get that trunking that actually looks like skirting. It just stands a little bit prouder off. You can. You're right. But again, a little bit more expensive, though. I know you did. I know you did, mate. I know you did. But my worry was for doing that was having the pipe on the outside. I never even give it a thought about putting an isolation tap at the top so that I could switch that tap off and then drain the system down. I don't know why. Completely. Never thought of that one, but yeah, you did, mate. 100% you did say you could go through the attic and come down. But I misthought about doing the idea and getting it to come down and having an isolation valve and being able to drain the system down. And that way then it won't even need to be lined. Yeah. So yeah, there are some ideas. I even have the means to be able to get it right down to the shed if I did it that way too, because I could come along the fence and all the way around to the filter house and having it to a direct feed straight in, or just connect the hose pipe where it comes to as a down point on the house wall. But yeah, thank you very much everybody for the input. It was greatly appreciated. Anyway, right, let's have a quick touch base with Howie Coy and see how he's doing. Because I reckon he's not coming on. See where he's doing. See where he's at. And if you are listening, Matt, pull over first. Don't just send a message. Anything else? Anything else I know of that I've got that I need to talk about? Oh. Hang out your bathroom window with your finger on the end of a hose pipe and spray it down the garden just to make sure you video it for us. Fucking hell, it'd have to be some serious water pressure. My bathroom's at that side of the house. So I'd have to go with my finger over the top of it and be able to squirt it right up and over the top of the house to get it to down to about. What I could do is put the hose pipe in the bathroom and then run it through the bedroom and hold it out the bedroom window over the top of the conservatory and squirt it out. The only thing that will be difficult is I can't get a ladder. I can't get a ladder between the gap of the house neighbours because not the neighbours that live there now or the ones that were there before, the ones before we even moved in. When they built the conservatory, they wouldn't allow them to tie it into the original build. So we've got a space between there and the end wall, but it's too tight and too narrow to be able to get a ladder in. So I have to climb up onto the stone toppings of that wall and then put the fixings in and then get the other ones from squeezing in sideways in on my shoulders. But it's doable. That way, that would be doable, that one. But yeah, not much chance I can do that on Arigoke. I'm sorry, mate. And there isn't that much water pressure to my house. I'd be lucky if you got it halfway over the roof. Would it drain down if the tap in the attic's off, as air wouldn't get behind to do the gravity drain off? If you block what? Would it drain off? Would it drain down in the attic? Would it drain down if the tap in attic off, as air wouldn't get behind it to gravity drain, like if you block a siphon? No, if I put the isolation tap and run the pipework up into the attic from the bathroom and then put it on a tapered run across the attic, the highest point would be where I came in and punched in. The lowest point would be outside in the garden. So from that point there, that bit of the bit of pipework in the attic and in down to the bathroom would never drain off, but the rest of it definitely would, because it'd come up to an elbow, turn, run, and drop. So yeah, I think it would it not? Who knows? Fake knows. Best practice to fit a double check valve for the outside taps. There we go. Maybe that would be the reason why it needed. And that were hard as hell to read, Rob. Confused the shit out of me with that one. Normally you're pretty good, but that one got me. If you're worried about water in pipes, wet vac it. Suck it straight out of there, is what you're saying. Yeah. Use plastic push fit and disconnect in the attic in winter. That's what we're going to do, mate. That's the Hep2O plastic push fit. That's what I've got. If I did do it, that's what I would be using. Needs air behind it. Well, that's easy, mate. Just open a tap. That creates air. It's not a pressurized system if you open a system, is it? So like if I'm taking it from my bath supply, right, and I take a tea into my bath supply and then come out, if I open that tap, what happens? And that allows air out, doesn't it? So if I open that tap, that will allow that water out and it should create an air bubble through and it should run out. Then push under the soffit board into the gutter and down your pipe, that pipe that I don't have. I don't have a down pipe. Oh dear. Yeah, down pipe, we're a semi-detached. So on the back of the houses, i.e. my back garden, I have a guttering that runs at a tapered run towards the end of my neighbour's house. And the fall pipe drops down. And then on the other side, yeah, but that's easy. Just isolate, open an isolation valve. All right, we'll go back to you, Rob. And then at my side, there's no fall pipe. At the front of the property, the fall pipe's on my side, and at his side, there's no fall pipe. So at the front of the properties, I have the runoff water. At the back of the properties, the next door neighbours have the runoff water. So there's no fall pipe. Right, and then Rob goes into there. Needs air to get behind it, though. That's easy, isn't it? It's an isolation valve. Beforehand, we isolate. We open up the system, and I go downstairs. I'll go into the bathroom, and then isolate it before it's feed in, and then open the tap. That will allow air in. The water will come out. Surely to God. It's the same way as when I switch off my mains water now, which my mains water is downstairs in my kitchen underneath my kitchen units. If I isolate the mains in there, and I go upstairs and open tap, no water comes out. But if I go to the kitchen and open kitchen tap, all that water from upstairs comes out. And all my bathroom and my taps and my sink and my toilet are empty. And the system that fills them are empty. So it's no different if I wanted to drain the system down and switch my mains water off, no water's in, open my kitchen tap, and that will allow all that water to flow out of the pipework down to the lowest point, which is the kitchen. And then if I open the tap outside there, it will allow that to drain off out of that pipe, draining down the system. Because I do it already in my kitchen. When I want to work in my bathroom, work on my plumbing, I go downstairs into the kitchen, open that tap, and all the water drains from the highest point down now. So it would definitely work. And then you put there, no, because it's water. If you fill a glass and turn it upside down with paper on it, take the paper off, water stays there. I like to see that one for science. I'm calling bullshit on that one. Surely to God. If you fill a glass and turn it upside down with paper on it, take the paper off, water stays there. Oh, yeah, Rob, yeah. Couldn't just close it in the attic. Yeah, but if I drain the system down and turn the mains off, then it would. But we could definitely get it out, which would be more of a solution than a problem. I feel like we're just having our own personal conversation, Rob. What do you reckon? Right then, ladies and gents, this has probably got to be one of the shittest lives that you've probably watched in a long, long time. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it to an end and say thank you very much, everybody, for joining us this week. As we have zero panels, zero conversations, zero topics, zero people wanting to ask anything, then we shall have an early evening. Usual thing, guys. If you've been enjoying this kind of content, I haven't done too bad, 2.5 hours. If you've been enjoying this kind of content, do us a huge favor, guys. Like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend. Until next time, guys, keep smiling, and we'll catch you all later on. And guess what? On this occasion, I can actually end it right now because there's nobody talking shite whilst I'm trying to end the live. Good night, all. Have a great week. Have a lovely weekend. Take care. I'll catch you on the next one. Look out for the fish in the outro. If it's in this bit, I don't know if it is. This has been one hell of an experience. Very nice. Have a look at that. Change in the garden. Made a little seated area. Into the little bush. So you can sit inside. The other pond.